Okay, kind. Think we live. Kind. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, giving double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the Hakim, the brethren out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth in 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters who believe in this gospel. So I entitled this. So let me go ahead and get on here and play this clip.
To submit to men that don't have their life together. How can you submit? How can you submit to a man who doesn't submit to God? You, black women, are in record numbers going to college. We're opening the. We're getting accolades. We're running nonprofit. There's a large portion of black women who are educating themselves and taking their lives to the next level, while the black men are not reaching those goals. They're not meeting us on those levels.
First of all, you sat up there and gave me a 30-minute dissertation on how great black women were doing, but the second
I support my black women. That's all.
I support black women.
I support black men
Here's
too,
the thing.
Look,
the majority of my clients, the majority of my executive staff, my man Ricardo Cordial, who's been a client of mine for 5 years, he will tell you the majority of the people in my executive team are black women. I have put more black women in the 1% than Nick Cannon with a bag of Viagra. So this is not about supporting black women.
It's
not you versus me. It's you and me. Right? We need to start circling our wagons amongst each other. We need to start circling our dollars amongst each other. The Jews do it, the Italians do it, the Chinese do it. When black people do it, they look at you like you crazy. There is no reason that FUBU should not still be hot today. Y'all rocking Ralph Lauren. If you want a solution, the solution is ignore the rhetoric, ignore the propaganda, and realize that I am not your competition. I am your
Come on, man. I got 5 bars. Come on. Salakia, bear with the video, man. Salakia. Come on. What's going on?
I am the one that's supposed to protect you, but the Bible says it is better for a man to live in the roof of his house than be in a house with a quarrelsome woman. Calm all that down. If you are so talented, so gifted, so degreed, so smart, how you let dumb niggas nut up in you and make babies?
All right, that's enough. This thing keep on messing up. It's playing now, but fuck it. This thing keep on messing up. Make sure the stream is still good. Okay, it look like the stream's still good. Kind. All right, man. So you saw the clip. You saw what Eve was up there talking about. She was up there talking about how accomplished so-called black women are, right? And how unaccomplished black men are, right? Now, what is she speaking of? She's speaking of accomplished as in the accolades that Esau gives you, right? Which is what? Going to college, getting degrees, you know what I'm saying? Which is essentially you just going into debt. You going into debt to this devil, right? You know, and you know, a lot of things that they like to say, starting businesses, you know what I'm saying? Which there are some successful black women-owned businesses, but it's nothing that's really made a change in the so-called black community, right? It's nothing of any real significance. Jake doesn't own anything of significance in this captivity here and in Babylon the Great, right? But really what they do is they push this narrative that so-called black women are better than so-called black men to, one, create a division, and to give Eve this false sense of this false sense of accomplishment, right? Because what goes along with that them having all of these degrees and everything like that, debt. That's what comes with it. Yeah, you got your master's and your PhD, but you got over 150, $200,000 worth of student loan debt, and you can't find the work to even pay it off. You know, so what sense is that really? You know what I'm saying? You getting all this loan, you getting all of these loans and everything just to go to a so-called prestigious college. You know what I'm saying? Where they indoctrinate you with this feminist ideology, and you think that because you went to this college and you got a degree, and Jake didn't, you better than Jake. See, where Jake $200,000 worth of debt, type of skill, where the schooling is, typically only going to be at most $15,000, right? For example, CDL school. I got my CDL. Me and brother Karatazan the camp, we got our CDL. We only paid like a couple $1,000s to get it. Which allowed us to be able to pay a pocket. And brothers, we able to take care of ourselves. We able to do what we got to do. You know what I mean? Whereas Eve will go and get some type of master's or doctorate in some irrelevant market or irrelevant field and be wondering why she can't find a job. We'll be wondering why companies aren't hiring for her particular degree of skill set. And a lot of times, man, a lot of these colleges, they don't really learn anything. They don't really learn any skills, anything like that. It's just really indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? It's best that you go to a specialized school, a school where they teach you a particular trade or a particular skill set, something that is going to be needed. Um, you know, of course, we know that this kingdom is about to fall, but something that's going to be needed all the time, right? Electricians are always going to be needed. What you call it? Plumbers are always going to be needed. Carpenters are going to be needed. These skills for building and repairing and fixing, different building structures, transportations of goods. These are things and skills that are needed, and that's what Jake typically focuses on. Jake typically focuses on, you know what I'm saying, going to get these skills. Because these skills you don't got to go to a 4-year degree to become a carpenter. You don't got to go to a 4-year school or university to become an electrician. You just don't got to do it. So it's an easier route to be able to get the um the best bang for your buck, so to say, right? But it's really all indoctrination when it comes to these colleges, when it comes to these universities and things like that. Because a lot of these things, a lot of these fields and job markets and everything like that people was pushing, for example, in tech, and I was somebody who was in tech, because when it comes to AI, because people talk about AI taking over, taking over just, particular, like for example, I'm a truck driver. People, it's a lot of talk about AI taking over trucking. You know what I'm saying? Well, and I read a post. I read a post about how AI is going to take over trucking, and people was commenting on the post and saying, stay out of trucking and keep that technology away from us and everything like that. And, you got the tech geeks is like, well, just go along with the times and get, get the skills to be able to maintain AI and all this stuff. Well, truth be told, for all of you people that's, wandering around in tech and everything like that, saying tech was all the rage, AI is actually going to take over your jobs first. There's things going on right now because there's someone in my family who was doing this, someone who I talk to pretty often that's in my family who was doing this, is working on creating programs, AI programs, to where AI is doing the software programming. You know what I'm saying? So, AI is going to take over a lot of these tech jobs first, right? But anyway, man, I'm done rambling. Let me go ahead and get into the scriptures. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 5. And it says, "It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools," right? Now, not every Jake man is righteous and knows his truth and understands his truth, right? But Jake has been for a long time telling Keisha, hey, look, just because you got all those degrees and everything like that, that don't mean nothing. That don't mean anything. And you better be careful because sooner or later, having all of them with degrees is gonna backfire on you when it comes to particularly this job market, AI, all of these things that we see going on now taking over the job market, right? And Jake has been telling Keisha that for a long time, but Keisha don't want to hear that rebuke. Eve don't want to hear that rebuke, right? Verse 6, it says, "For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This is also vanity. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart," right? See, again, it all started back in, I want to say back around, you could even say the early 40s, right? But really in that time where, Esau began giving out government benefits to Keisha, right? To encourage her and allow her to separate from her man, right? And then that turned into feminism, and then that turned into, jobs and everything like that. And then being able to, make money, right, separately from their man and everything, which in all honesty, Keisha been working. Keisha was always been working, right? That was the whole feminist thing where it comes to allowing women to work. That was a so-called white woman issue. Keisha was always working, right? Because we were always in a position where we had to, right? But they bit on to the fruit, even though it wasn't even for them, even though the problems that was being pushed on them wasn't even their problems. They bit on to the fruit. And now all of a sudden, because they get these accolades, they get these, they get this sense of accomplishment from Esau Edom. Now they think they're better than Jake, right? And now you think that you're over Jake. But what's the scripture say? It says the gift destroyeth the heart. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 21 and verse 32. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man," right? In this society, the woman is perceived as being above the man, right? Perceived as being above men. You know what I'm saying? And that's why that's another issue that we have here, because here it is. Men have created the very society that you live in, but yet you perceive yourself to be above us. You think that, you think that we created these things is solely for you. You know what I'm saying? Which part of it, yeah, it is. But without us, you wouldn't have been able you wouldn't be able to enjoy the benefits that you have here in Babylon the Great, right? Slovakia. So that's what they did. They allowed the woman to be put above the man, right? And it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 12, and it reads, "As for my people, children are their oppressors," speaking on Esau Edom, because Esau is a child, "and women rule over them," right? What is everything about? It's all about mama. It's all about my girl. It's all about pleasing the woman, pleasing women and everything like that. That's mainly what the society about, especially in Jake's society. Everything is about making the woman happy, doing what's, doing what's best for the woman, right? And there's nothing wrong with taking care of a woman, providing for a woman, particularly a woman who has earned that level of respect by contributing value to your life. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue is that you see a lot of memes and TikToks and IG videos and everything of people talking about some Slovakia, people talking about some or Eve talking about some. I need a man to pay for my dinner. I need a man to pay for my babysitter. I need a man to pay for my babysitter whenever if we gonna go on a date. You need to get my hair and my nails done. You need to come in the door, provide, doing this, doing that. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of energy that we see from a lot of these women on social media, right? And of course, if you know any better, man, you ain't got to do shit for a bitch that she's into you. You ain't got to do none of that but show up, right? But that's the entitlement that you see. That's the entitlement that you see because what? Women have been put above men in this society. Here's the book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 13. It reads, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing, right? And that's true. Old girl who was just on that video clip, she running off at the mouth. But she's simple. She don't really know anything. She don't know nothing. She just running off at the mouth like all of these things matter. But none of you all can get the man that you truly want and keep and maintain them. You might get ran through by the majority of you all. You try and force this thing of monogamy on men, right? Especially a man who is sexually desirable to multiple women. You try and push this thing of monogamy on them, and it just don't work out. You set yourself up for failure. But two, you just don't understand how to provide value to that particular man. That's another big thing. And that's why you see a lot of women complaining because, she like, oh, he went out here and cheated on me. He went out here and did this. He went out here and did that. These men ain't shit. These men ain't this. These men ain't that. Right? Well, the main thing you just got to do is, as a woman, get back in touch with your femininity and then concern yourself when it comes to a man, or concerning and focusing on how you can add to his life and being patient. Hey, that's all really it comes down to. Here's the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 1. It reads as every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands, right? See, Eve, she plucked down her house. She plucked down her own house. She separated herself from her man. And now she's seeing, 2 generations later, how non-beneficial that was, how detrimental that was to her. You know what I'm saying? So we living in them times, man. We living in the times where, Isaiah 4:1 is going to come to pass, right? I was just watching Elder Manat Zakbar's video not too long ago of some dude who left a comment talking about how we just trying to, get Instagram models. And that's why we talk about Isaiah 4:1 all the time and all this shit. And they're like, nigga, first off, these IG bitches ain't shit. That's first. But anyway, man, this is why we're going to see Isaiah 4:1 come to pass. And all of these things happen as prophesied in the scriptures, especially when it comes to Eve, especially when it comes to the woman, right? So, Lord willing, this video lesson was edifying. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Hakadosh. Until next time, shalom.